Hi, my name is Shelomo Solson, founder of Purpose Creates Impact, host of the Teenage Impact podcast, where you will find inspiration to get over your struggles as a teenage kid. I was bullied, had anxiety, depression, had friends pass away, and battled confidence issues for a majority of my life. Whether you have the same issues as me, feel lonely, face challenges in your home or in school, I'm going to be interviewing people who overcame these struggles and provide you with tips on how you can overcome yours. By the end of this episode, I want you to rate and comment on what you think of the podcast. This will allow the podcast to be ranked higher and serve more teenagers. Hi everyone, this is Shelomo Solson, the host of the Teenage Impact podcast, and today I have Hala Taha with me. How are you, Hala?
Hi, happy to be here.
Hi, thank you very much for doing this. And Hala actually reminds me a lot of me when I was a teenager. She was an underdog. She went through a lot of trial and error as a teenage child. She didn't make the volleyball, cheerleading squad. She didn't make it in a talent show. She didn't win she didn't win president freshman year in high school and college. And she had a lot of trials and tribulations growing up as a kid, but that actually benefited her in the long run because as an adult, she is now the host and creator of Young and Profiting podcast, which has thousands of downloads, and she's helping millennials become more financially free. So Hala, how about you tell everyone your story as a teenager and how everything came about?
Sure. So as a teenager, I would say that I was pretty average. Average grades, average level of popularity and social life. I was just very average, and not because I wasn't trying. It was because I would keep trying to do things and they wouldn't really pan out. So I ended up getting a lot of experiences trying to try new things. But a lot of the things didn't exactly work out how I wanted them to be. So you mentioned a couple examples. I tried out for the cheerleading team in high school. I didn't make it. Even though I was, pretty athletic. I played soccer all my life and everything like that, but I didn't make it. I tried out for the volleyball team. I'm pretty petite and I was a little bit too short. I didn't make it. I used to be in the plays, but I was never the lead, even though hands down, I probably had the best voice in school. I went on to record an album in college and ended up being the star of my plays in college. But in high school, it's like nobody could see me almost. And I just felt invisible. And thankfully I was really good at singing, and I did used to get solos every concert. So that was the one area in my, teenage career that I excelled at, was singing. And I would get a solo at every concert, and was in special chorus and used to go in the morning and things like that. So that was one area that I excelled, thankfully, because I think that really helped my confidence, and it helped me be able to speak in public spaces and be confident, because I used to have to sing in front of the whole student body. But then again, I tried out for the talent show. Like I said, I had the best voice in school, and then they didn't put me in the talent show. And so it almost was that it's like when the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. It's like they kept giving the same kids the same opportunities, and I was excluded from those opportunities. And it might have been that I wasn't confident enough. I can't say that it was totally an environmental issue. It might have been, my issue. Maybe I wasn't exerting enough positivity, or, there was something about my aura where I was never selected for the things that I was trying to do. And that could have been only my fault. It could have been a product of my environment. When I was in high school, that's when 9/11 happened. And I'm Palestinian. And I remember immediately being like way less popular than I was, and losing a lot of friends. And, I think that might have had to do a lot with the fact that I was not chosen for a lot of things like being the lead in a play and things like that has a lot of visibility. I don't think they wanted an Arab teenager to be in that position.
And
So
is this in New York?
Yeah, this was in New Jersey, and I was in a very I was probably the most ethnic person in my whole school. Everybody was white. And I think that also, like, not to play that card because I'm not positive that that's what it was, but it's a little weird that then I got to college and I just excelled. And it was just like I was, very popular, leading all the plays, vice president of my sorority, like, everything that I tried, I was good at all of a sudden.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And it's just funny that in high school it wasn't that way, but I don't know exactly what it was.
Yeah, let's go back to, I know middle school, you mentioned that you were in below average classes in some of your classes.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. What made the teachers put you in those classes versus some of the other students?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was. So it was particularly in math. I was put into this like remedial math class. And it might have just been a couple of bad test scores, and then I was put into those classes. Eventually I got out of them, through hard work and proving myself. But I just want people to remember, if you, like for me, if you fast forward to my MBA 2 years ago, I graduated with a 4.0, number one in my class.
Congrats.
Right. Thank you. But, when I was in 7th grade, I was in the remedial math class. So it's like things can change. You can change. You can evolve. Even if you're in a place right now where you feel like you're in a lower level class or you don't feel like you're as smart as your peers, like you can catch up. You can always catch up, and you can end up, beating them in the future in terms of, where you are in your career and your education.
Okay. And in high school, when the things don't play out the way you want it to, did you go home and tell your parents, or did you share with anyone how you felt?
Yeah, I used to get devastated every time. I was just, I was immature and I would get upset about it. And luckily I have the type of personality where I keep trying and trying and trying again. It didn't stop me from, when I didn't make cheerleading, it didn't stop me from not trying out for volleyball, and so I think it's always good to definitely get back on the horse no matter what happens and have that type of spirit, because if I let high school dictate my life, I would be a complete loser right now. And I'm not a loser. So it's like you can't let past situations dictate your future. But as far as sharing it with other people, yeah, I mean, I told my parents, I told my friends, I was definitely vocal about it.
And did that affect you in other parts of your life, like your studies or your social life?
Yeah, I mean, I think not making some of those things definitely impacted my social life. I would have had more friends, met more people had I, made those teams. But I did have my own group, a circle of friends. I made the most of it, and it is what it is.
Yeah, and now you're in college. What college did you go to?
New Jersey Institute of Technology.
Okay, what was that switch that had you go from the person not making it to becoming now popular in college? Was it the sorority?
The sorority helped. So immediately when I got into college, I was recruited for a sorority, and that definitely put me into a group of women who had similar interests. So I definitely think that helped. But I just think that I was able to start over. I was able to start with a clean slate. I was in a diverse school. Most of the people in school were boys. And so I was, a girl, which gave me the edge as well. And just getting the chance to start all over and be my own person and having that clean slate, it just gave me a chance to shine, and people didn't have that past image of me where, in high school, like I said, I didn't make those things, and I didn't really get to do all the things that I really wanted to do. And then in college, it's like I was just given chances, and I met those opportunities successfully, and then I was given more chances, and it just kind of, escalated from there.
What would you say some of your strengths are?
My
Or,
strengths?
yeah, when you were in college, as you're going by, I know you were in a talk show. You had your own talk show at one point with a few people. And was communicating and building relationship, would you say you discovered that in college, or was that later on in life?
Yeah, I mean, I was always an outgoing person. I wasn't like, I had friends in high school. I
Mm-hmm.
was always outgoing, but definitely, yes, in college, as far as my social skills, excelled. My first position in the sorority was recruitment chair, and I would go out and recruit girls for our sorority. So that's one example of how my social skills helped me. So yeah, I definitely have great communication skills. I went to school for marketing and communication, so that definitely helped. And I don't know, I just found myself. And the other thing I want to bring up is the law of attraction. So when I was in college, I got very into the law of attraction. I don't know if anybody has heard of Abraham and Esther Hicks. They're authors that write about the law of attraction. And really, it helped me understand that basically whatever you believe, you can bring about in your life. And so I started really getting into visualization, just affirmations, and being positive. And I think that really helped me. I think that changed my aura in the world and helped me attract new things. And I think that was a major switch. I think that me, like by luck, when I first started college, I was given an opportunity. I was given chances to be more social, to excel in different situations. And then I think I took it to the next level when I really got into the law of attraction. Then I just started being more confident, started being more intentional. And then that really helped me take it to the next level. I got an internship at Hot 97. I was Angie Martinez's assistant. I ended up dropping out of school for a little bit to take this internship. And that's the point where my life really started to differentiate from other people my age, when all of a sudden I started becoming way more successful than all my peers. That was the point. And I think being into the law of attraction got me there.
What do you think? That's amazing, by the way, because like I said, our stories definitely relate. I was put into intensive reading, not math. I was good at math, but I was put in intensive reading. And then in high school, I felt like I always had to overcome something. I was known as that token brown Jewish guy because, my parents are from India and Pakistan, and then I have a Jewish heritage. And so I was always getting made fun of for my religion and my race. And then I joined cross country. And I remember one of my first races, I got dead last place. And I really had to overcome that challenge of being the slowest kid in class. And then college also came along, like you. And it was just a turning point for me. I joined a fraternity, which I became less shy, more outgoing, and trying to inspire people. And I'm a strong believer in law of attraction because the more focused you are, the universe will work for you, not against you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the biggest change was for you between high school and college?
The biggest change?
Yeah.
I don't think that I changed.
Okay.
I think my environment changed. I was put in a new environment. I was given a chance to start all over, and I made a better first impression. So I think that that's what the difference was. It was a new environment. I was given a second chance, and I was able to shine, and people saw me for who I was, not for the fact that I was Arabic or anything like that, or what I was like in middle school, or, and also I was like kind of an ugly duckling, I would say. I mean, I was like, pretty in high school, but I don't think anybody noticed, and then I got to college and I was the prettiest girl in school all of a sudden, and it was way different. So it was my environment that changed, and people saw me for who I was at the present moment, not who I was when I was a child.
Hala, I'm very glad you said that, because people many times think there's always something wrong with them. And 99.9% of the time, there's not, because it's who you hang out with. You know, you can have someone appreciating you on one end and the other person completely making fun of you on the other end. And what you did was you changed your environment. And I think that's the best tip you can give someone is not
Yeah.
change yourself. It's really change who you hang out with, because you'll become more positive.
Agreed.
Let's go into your internship
Okay.
that happened, and then you starting your talk show host. Can you go into dive deeper a little bit into that and your post-college experience?
Sure. So I didn't end up being a talk show host. I'll get into exactly what I did.
Okay.
So my junior year of college, I got an internship at Hot 97. I started out in the production department, did really well there. And then Angie Martinez, who was the voice of New York, she's like the #1 radio personality with the #1 show in New York City. She recruited me to be her assistant. And that was like my second internship. And then she wanted me to be there more often. And I ended up dropping out of school for about 1.5 years to take this opportunity with her. And so that was such a great experience. I met every famous person you could imagine. I used to make my money mostly like going out to parties with the DJs and co-hosting showcases with them and selling tickets to artists who wanted to be involved in like talent showcases and things like that. So it was a really cool experience. I got really into the music industry and, started my public persona. At that time, Twitter was really popular. And so like I gained a lot of momentum on Twitter. And like I said, I was just like, had all these artist connections and I started blogging for one of the DJs. His name is DJ Enough. He had a pretty popular blog site. And I used to do like video blogs where I would interview some artists, like after they'd go on Angie's show. After the show, I do like a quick interview with them and, post it up on his blog. And so that was like my first time doing like any type of media where I was like the focus and doing interviews. And I was back in college. So then one thing led to another and I ended up wanting to go back to school and I stopped working at Hot 97. Also, just FYI, there's not much money in radio and thank God I did that. So I went back to school, graduated, and my senior year, what was my final year in college, I started a blog site, and it was the Sorority of Hip Hop, strawberryblunt.com. And basically it was a way to empower women in the music industry. And I recruited about 12 girls to start through Twitter and Craigslist. And
Wow.
I basically had all these girls apply to be a part of this blog site. And I picked the girls, like handpicked them. They all had to have like industry jobs. So we had girls that worked at VH1 and Complex and all the, like a lot of major places. And everybody kind of had their own angle, whether they wanted to write about music or fashion or do interviews. And so I started this blog and I learned how to do websites, how to create websites like in 2 weeks by myself. YouTube, using the internet. I launched like a WordPress site. I set it up. I taught everybody how to blog. And, we started this website. And within the first month, we were like the 30,000th most popular website in the world out of millions and millions and millions of websites. So we got noticed like immediately.
Wow.
So that was really cool. I could keep going if you want.
Oh, no, keep going. I'm listening.
Yeah. So in addition to the blog, we had a radio show. We ended up having 4 different internet radio shows. And basically back then there was no such thing as podcasts. They were called online radio shows and they used to be at like a facility. And basically we had our own show and we used to invite upcoming artists, even some artists that were on the radio, like Fabulous and Soulja Boy, things like that we've had. And so we used to interview them and we used to host parties to make money, host concerts. And that's what I was doing, like, right out of college, technically still in college, but just only because I had dropped out for 2 years. But yeah. Yeah, I was like, early to mid 20s. Yeah.
Wow. So it's in your late 20s, that's when you stopped the blog, correct?
Yeah. So when I was about 27 is when I shut down the blog site.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, it's a long story, but basically we were recruited by MTV for our own reality TV show. And that was the second time we were recruited by MTV. and we shot a pilot. They must have invested like $200,000-$300,000 into the pilot. They gave us a studio on Broadway in New York City. They followed me around. I was the lead in the show, followed me around, my family, my boyfriend, and basically filmed us for 2 months, and really got our hopes up because this was the second time they did this. And we were getting paid and everything like that. And, you know, they told us we were 99% getting a show. All the girls were super excited. And then we didn't get the show again for the second time. And at that point, I felt like, you know, I had 50 girls in the blog, running the blog with me at that point, under me, in the sorority of hip hop. And I felt like everybody was looking at me to make them successful. And there was just so much pressure and stress on me that I shut down the blog site. I couldn't take it anymore because getting a reality TV show would have really taken us to the next level. And for me, I was working really, really, really hard. And that was my full-time thing, where all the other girls, they were maybe doing it part-time, other than like one other girl, Melissa Sweets. And we just felt like we needed to focus on our own careers. So I stopped the blog site and I went and got my MBA.
And what would you say the biggest lesson out of all that was?
The biggest lesson was that sometimes I wish that I kept going, and I wonder, like, you know, they have that image of a cartoon where the guy's like mining for gold and like there's like one sliver of dirt between him and the gold. That's what I feel like I probably was at, and I just couldn't see it at the time, which kind of stinks. Like, people still tell me, like, what happened to your blog? And I'm like, oh, we shut it down. But then again, experiences are everything, and without that experience I wouldn't have this podcast now, because that's where I really honed my interviewing chops. That's where I learned how to do digital marketing. That's why I was able to get a corporate job and a career. I taught myself how to video edit, audio edit, graphic design, web design, have so much more skills than a lot of other people because of that experience. And even though it failed, it was very successful. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a matter of perspective. And I also met a lot of my lifelong friends on that journey. Memories that so many people probably will never have, you know, getting filmed by MTV and throwing a concert and having like a dance show that was filmed, and like,
it's pretty awesome.
It's like, it's pretty awesome.
I would have loved to
like,
be there.
Yeah, it's like, it was an amazing experience. Had I like, I don't know, everything happens for a reason. We shut it down. It is what it is. But I definitely learned a lot and gained a lot of skills and experiences and memories.
Mm-hmm. And you got your MBA, you got a 4.0, correct? You said?
Yeah.
On your journey, now we're not going to talk present time for a bit, but on your journey, you're putting all this pressure on yourself, you're excelling, things are not working out. Did you ever feel anxious or anxiety?
Yeah, of course. I definitely felt like a bit of a failure at times. All my siblings are doctors, right? Mm-hmm. So I have 3 siblings, they're all doctors. And I was this like black sheep that had like a hip hop blog site, you know? So you have to like think about how insecure that made me feel. And that's probably another reason why I shut down the blog, because I was like, damn it, I was about to be famous. Now
how many sisters do you have?
I have 2 brothers and a sister.
2 brothers and a sister.
And so, yeah, I definitely used to be really anxious about not making it. And it was because I had a lot of outside pressure. And I think that that's another reason why I ended up shutting down the blog site, is because I wanted to be super successful and it just wasn't happening fast enough. So I used to be very anxious.
And what did your parents say about all this? Did your parents try to pressure you to go into medicine?
Oh, yeah. They tried to pressure me to do anything other than what I was doing. So they were very unsupportive of me up until, you know, recently. Until like once I got my MBA, my relationship with my parents like drastically improved. They were like semi-supportive. I won't say that they like had totally outcasted me, but it was very difficult to do what I was doing and get their support, because they really wanted me to be successful, and you know, they're immigrant parents and they didn't really understand what I was doing. Now they're super proud of me, and they always loved me, and they didn't treat me unfairly or anything, but it wasn't perfect. And I do feel that definitely influenced my decisions.
Yeah, I bet you a lot of immigrant children can relate, because the parents work really hard in their own country to bring their children here, and a lot of times they want their kids to become doctors, lawyers, engineers, accountants, whatever it may be, a high-paying profession. And then when you go into entrepreneurship, there's all this uncertainty
Yeah,
there,
exactly.
and they can't see the full picture. But sometimes you have to go against the grain in order to fulfill your own purpose and be happy with what you're accomplishing. And then later on, they will come.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, now present time. You run Young and Profiting, and you also have a LinkedIn influence
Yeah.
of
So,
over what, 20,000?
yes.
How did you get into that?
Yeah. So, basically, I got my MBA. I went to corporate, right? I worked at Hewlett Packard Enterprise for 4 or 5 years. My last year at Hewlett Packard, I decided I was going to start a podcast. And basically, I missed radio. I wanted to merge my passions of business and broadcasting and start something new, and also help people in the progress. So I started Young and Profiting podcast about a year ago. And, I just did it. I can't really tell you much else other than the fact that I knew how to do everything already. I knew how to audio edit. I knew marketing. I knew how to interview people. And immediately out the gate, I got 2 really big authors to come on my first episode, and, just really worked hard, and things took off. I have a team now. Over 10 people work for my podcast. They're all pretty much like interns, assistants. But it's really cool, great, amazing team. Couldn't do it without them. And, it's just an amazing experience. Like, I love my podcast, and I'm so thankful for all my past experiences, because now I get to do something that I think is truly impactful and very meaningful. It's no longer like about celebrity gossip and kind of this meaningless stuff. It's very meaningful, educational content. And I think it's really fulfilling. And I love what I'm doing right now.
That's awesome. And how did you get into LinkedIn?
Well, LinkedIn is a social media platform that I just decided was my best chance at getting in touch with my target audience. So, I started at 1,000 followers or something over a year ago. But I was very familiar with LinkedIn from running company pages for different companies over the years, as I, was making money part-time while I was doing the sorority of hip hop, and then also at HP. And just, put my strategies together and used all the different skills I have acquired to start growing a following.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's move on to the last section of the podcast. You're a teenager right now. You're in high school, and you haven't made certain teams. You haven't made the volleyball, cheerleading team. You haven't made a talent show, the president. What you're disappointed about, you feel like a failure. What advice would you give your younger self?
My advice would be to stay positive and work on yourself. Try to get outsiders to tell you where you can improve yourself. Because for me, there must have been something wrong with me. I must have not been projecting confidence. I must have not been physically fit enough. There must have been something that I could have improved. And I think that if I had the knowledge back then to get feedback from others so that I could improve myself, and to not be afraid of getting negative feedback, and to not be afraid of putting the work to improve yourself, I think that would have been very beneficial. And then the other side of the coin is to realize that while there is definitely room to improve yourself, sometimes it's your environment. And to kind of just keep my head up that in time there will be more opportunities. Keep trying, keep pushing through.
Mm-hmm. And what about, you come from immigrant parents, what about the kids who want to start their own journey, want to start their passion project, but their family doesn't support them?
Yeah, I would say you should definitely follow your passion, because when you follow your passion, work comes effortlessly, and you end up taking a lot more action, right? And so definitely follow your passion. But the other side of the coin is that you need to sustain yourself. So you need to find a balance between sustaining yourself and finding a passion. So for me, even right now, I have a podcast, but I have a full-time job. I have a job at a great company called Disney Streaming Services. I have an amazing career that I spend 75 to 80% of my time on, right? And then my podcast gets, 15% of my time. So I think that, or 25% of my time, whatever it is. So I think that you need to have a balance. You can't expect your parents to support you forever, right? You can't, you also don't want to be broke. So you need to be responsible. So I would say find a job that you love that helps you grow skills that you'll need for your passion, right?
So true.
And also, give yourself the experiences you need. So if you're working a full-time job, try getting a side hustle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dip your toes into what you want to do. See if you really like it, but make sure that you have a good balance and that you're also gaining skills that will be able to provide you financially in the future, provide for you financially.
Mm-hmm. And just to build off of that, if you're 16, 17 years old, getting a job, don't get a minimum wage paying job at like McDonald's or the movie theater. Try to find a job. Think about your long-term, what you like to do, and try to find a job that will pay you for your passion.
Yeah. And I would say don't be ashamed of having a low-level job.
Yeah.
You never know what skills you'll gain from an experience like that. For example, I worked retail
Mm-hmm.
My whole high school career, and that definitely helped me be outgoing once I got to college, right?
Absolutely.
Because I was able to walk up to anyone and help me with sales. Even if it's like a McDonald's job, will still give you some value.
It's true. Yeah, I worked at the movie theater, and I don't regret that either.
Yeah, so it's like everybody, like, depending on your age, it's hard to get different jobs, but just get the experience. I would say doesn't matter what it is, really.
Absolutely. Where can people find you, Hala?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Search for my
Okay.
name. It's Hala Taha. Also, you can find me on Young and Profiting Podcasts. We're on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, any podcast app. Just search for us, Young and Profiting. And yeah, it was a pleasure to be on.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you. And for my subscribers and followers, I'm starting something new. I'm starting a Instagram close friends group. So if you're a teenager that's going through something in life and you feel like you don't have any direction, you feel like you need someone to talk to or some guidance, go follow me on Instagram. My handle name is at Shelomo Solson. It is in the description. Follow me, DM me, and let me know that you want to join my close friends group, and I will add you.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.